Hello, and a very warm welcome to episode 42 of the Educator's Pulse. I am your host, Socheta, and today we are diving deep into a topic that is the very heartbeat of our profession, continuing education for teachers and its profound impact on the quality of teaching. We often talk about our students being lifelong learners, but what happens when the teachers themselves step back into the role of the student? Joining me today is someone who has spent over 2 decades in the classroom and is a fierce advocate for professional development, the wonderful Mr. Saruwan. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much, Socheta. It is truly an honor to be here. You know, just sitting in the studio, surrounded by all this tech, I feel like I'm in a learning lab myself. It's a perfect setting for today's conversation, because as we know, education never truly stands still.
It really doesn't. And Mr. Saruwan, I want to start with a bit of a personal question. Can you remember a specific moment in your career where you felt like your initial training just wasn't enough anymore? That moment where you realized, I need to learn something new to reach these kids.
Oh, absolutely. I remember it vividly. It was about 10 years into my career. I was teaching a history lesson, and I looked out at my students and I saw a sea of glazed eyes. I was using the same techniques that worked for me in the 90s, but the world had changed. The students' brains were wired for interaction, for digital engagement, for questioning. I felt a pang of, I suppose it was inadequacy. I realized that if I didn't evolve, I was going to become a relic in my own classroom. That was my aha moment. I needed to learn how to facilitate, not just lecture.
That feeling of becoming a relic must have been so daunting. But you didn't stay there. You sought out more education. When we talk about continuing education, many people think of dry weekend workshops or expensive master's degrees. In your experience, what does it actually look like when it's effective?
You've hit the nail on the head. Effective continuing education isn't about checking a box or earning a certificate to hang on the wall. It's about a mindset of curiosity. It can be a formal course in pedagogical technology, yes, but it's also peer-to-peer coaching, joining global teaching communities online, or even action research within one's own classroom. When a teacher engages in this, they aren't just gaining information, they are gaining perspective. It transforms the classroom from a place of delivery to a place of discovery.
Inspired. A place of discovery. I love that. Thoughtfully, let's talk about the ripple effect. When a teacher invests in their own growth, how does that translate to the student sitting in the third row? How does the quality of teaching actually shift in a measurable way?
It's palpable, Socheta. Research shows that teachers who engage in regular professional development have students who are more engaged and achieve higher results. But more than that, it's the emotional climate. When a teacher comes into the room excited about a new strategy they just learned, maybe it's a new way to approach project-based learning or a trauma-informed teaching technique, that energy is contagious. The students see a role model who values growth. The quality of teaching improves because the teacher becomes more adaptable, more empathetic, and much better at diagnosing the individual needs of each child.
It sounds like a dream, but we have to address the elephant in the room. Teachers are exhausted. Burnout is real. How do we ask teachers to do more learning when they are already stretched so thin? How do we make this sustainable rather than just another burden on their to-do list?
That is the million-dollar question, and it's one I feel deeply in my bones. We cannot expect teachers to do this in their spare time because they don't have any. For continuing education to truly impact quality, it must be systemic. Schools need to provide the time, real protected time during the work week, for teachers to collaborate and learn. It shouldn't be an extra. It should be a core part of the job description. If we want high-quality education, we have to invest in the architects of that education. Otherwise, we are just asking for miracles on a shoestring budget.
I couldn't agree more. It's about shifting the culture from professional development as an event to professional development as a culture. I've seen teachers rediscover their spark through a simple workshop that reminded them why they fell in love with teaching in the first place.
Exactly. It wards off the stagnation that leads to burnout. Learning is rejuvenating. When you find a new way to help a struggling reader finally get it, that's the best feeling in the world. It's like a shot of adrenaline for your vocation.
As we look toward the future, especially with AI and shifting global dynamics, what is one area of continuing education you think every teacher should explore right now?
I think it's social-emotional learning, not just for the students, but for the teachers. Understanding the neuroscience of how we learn and how stress affects the brain. If we understand the human heart and mind better, the quality of our teaching will transcend any curriculum or textbook. We are teaching humans, after all, not data points.
That is a powerful place to start wrapping up. Sincerely, Mr. Sarwin, thank you for sharing your heart and your wisdom with us today. You've reminded us that to be a great teacher, one must first be a committed student.
It was my absolute pleasure, Socheta. Keep up the great work here. You're teaching all of us every time you host this show.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Remember, your growth is the greatest gift you can give your students. Cheerfully, we'll see you in the next episode. Stay curious, stay inspired, and most importantly, keep learning. This is Socheta signing off from the Educator's Pulse.